Welcome back to Morning Express. It is now time for the Dawn Debate. Today we focus on Machakos senatorial race. The incumbent Johnston Muthama is not seeking a re-election, but several people are in the race. In studio today we have Carlos Kioka, Maendeleo Chapchap, and we also have Mutua Kala of Wiper. Welcome to Morning Express. Just a quick reminder that you're welcome to participate, and in case you're watching us from Machakos County or wherever you might be watching from and you have a question or would like to participate in the Dawn Debate, you can do so. The hashtag is Morning Express KTN. If you'd like to tweet, it's at KTN News, or you can tweet me directly, and that's at Michael G. Gitonga. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning for the Dawn Debate, and I'll start with you, Jackson, and well, why you for the senatorial seat in Machakos? What do you have to offer?
Of course, I want to correct my names. Jackson Musioka Kala. You mentioned Mutua.
Sorry,
Mutua
yes,
is not
Jackson
my name.
Musioka.
Yeah. Basically, we want to offer alternative leadership, better representation to the people of Machakos. Of course, focused leadership and sober leadership. That's what we want to offer.
That's what you want to offer. Yeah. And I'm sure every leader would say that. I'll come to you on the specifics, what exactly you're going to do that's different. But let me hear from you, sir, Carlos, on what you have to offer.
Well, clearly it's about understanding people's needs and wants in Machakos. People of Machakos have specific needs, and they require a senator who is able to drive innovation, a senator who understands their problem, a senator who listens, a senator who can work with all the other leaders. Basically, I will be a senator of all the parties in Machakos, and I want to be the senator who will bring the leaders together and create a vision, you know, in terms of solving the problems of the people of Machakos.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me hear from you, Jackson. Specifics. When, you know, politicians during campaign time are very good at giving what I'd call informative, good-sounding solutions for their people. What specific solutions do you have for the people of Machakos?
Yeah. We must first understand the problems that are facing our people, and especially county governments in the country, first to understand the role of senators. One of the things that I intend to do actually is to ensure that we enact proper legislation in this country. We drive that, we lobby in Senate for my colleagues to ensure that we drive proper legislation that will take care of devolution. For instance, I would want to ensure that we enact some laws that will ensure that county governments are funded either once or twice in a year, so that they get all their allocations at the beginning of a financial year, or 2 times in a year, so that they are able to budget for themselves and plan in advance. For instance, I'll tell you this. If the county government of Machakos is supposed to receive 8 billion Kenya shillings in a year, and then they don't receive that money at the beginning of the year, and they receive in tranches, bits, they are not able to plan properly, and they are not able to utilize those funds effectively. But if you give, you release the funds immediately at the beginning of the financial year, they are able even to invest that money. For example, if 8 billion you invest at the interest rate of 10%, you'll get an interest of 800 million out of the 800 billion. So if that is money that should be channeled to the county governments immediately at the beginning of the financial year. So one of the things that we're going to make sure that we do is to push for proper legislation to ensure that what we envisaged in the Constitution, the benefits and fruits of devolution, are enjoyed by the local Mwananchi. All right. By ensuring that resources are actually trickled down to the grassroots.
You're going in on a Wiper ticket. What
Yes.
would you say has been the progress that Maendeleo Chapchap has done so far in Machakos County? There are those who say that, you know, under the governorship of Mutua, things have gone on well. Your take on that?
My take is that the county government of Machakos, Mutua's tenure is the first one. So the question is, when we want to do comparison, we must do with other counties and see what they have done. So you can't take Machakos in isolation. For example, if a governor tells you, I have bought you ambulances, ambulances are being bought everywhere. So the question is, when you compare Mutua's performance, you are comparing him with who? When, for instance, you compare Mutua with Makueni on some of the projects, there are some projects that I will admit, yes, they are good and they can be improved. But on overall, when you compare with other counties, I'll say that Machakos, on a fair scale, is doing 4 over 10%.
4 out of 10.
4 out of 10.
Wow, what a dismal result is given. Let me hear from you, Carlos. You're on Maendeleo Chap. Do you agree with him that Machakos County is doing a dismal 4 out of 10?
My colleague here, I mean, he was chief officer in that government. He has served with that government for the last 5 years, the current government. He was chief officer for education. Probably he can explain to us what happened to Machakos Social Welfare Fund, 160 million, where he was the accounting officer. Money for the disabled, the people of Machakos, they have been crying, and they have sent me and to ask him actually to explain. When he starts giving such rating, it's sarcastic. I mean, it's wrong. Well, Machakos is rated as the best performing county government, and we have seen road networks in Machakos improve. We have seen efforts of water solutions being implemented in Machakos, and we have seen lack of leadership in the senatorial senatorial responsibility and space in Machakos. Clearly, if the governor of Machakos had a senator who is responsive to the needs of the people of Machakos, he would go ahead and play his advisory role properly. He would represent the people of Machakos, and therefore, when a gentleman like this says Machakos is doing 4 over 10, clearly he is part of the team that has brought the downfall, or in terms of poor performance in Machakos, because he cannot explain where 160 million disappeared.
Let me give him a chance to respond to that, because if you're part of the government, then you've done 4 out of 10. Then really, what you're saying is that you had nothing to offer, and why would you even be going for a senatorial seat?
Exactly. The question is, I think if I may answer that, that one of the reasons why I remember in my opening remarks I said that we need legislation that will ensure that county governments receive their monies at the beginning of the financial year. The money that he's talking about is good to counter-check this information, because this is public information. It's there that this money was never released by the national
government. There is a case with the anti-corruption in Machakos, and it has been mentioned.
I'll allow him to finish.
It's good to offer that protection, so that we don't come here. Some of us we want decent debates, that we don't echo. That money was never released. The money that he's talking about during my tenure was not released by the national government. Up to this point, the question was, the control of budget said, I cannot release this money because the county government had not put in place legislation to take care of the funds. That is now to answer that question. So that is money that was never released by the national government. And so those are some of the things that some of us want to go to Senate to correct, because that is where the allocation for county governments normally takes place through legislation. The number 2, we are talking about I was part of the team, yes. I worked with the county government of Machakos. County government of Machakos was a wiper government, just for the records. And when we worked there, some of us, the reason why we are even contesting for these positions is that, yes, we had the ideas, but we are not able to deliver, and that's why we had the guts to resign and contest for positions. Because if you have a leader, you offer advice, and the advice is not taken, what do? You seek for alternative ways of representing your people.
In this case, are you saying that your leader here, being Mutua, was not able to listen to you?
What I'm saying is that his performance was a one-man show. The running of the county government of Machakos is not through any structured...
and you've just admitted and said that you were not able to do much while you were there because of maybe leadership issues. So why would you want to be given a second chance when you are not able to do anything with what you had?
The second chance that I'm getting, I remember I'm running for an elective position. I'll not be an agent of somebody. Remember, when you are an employee of somebody, basically there is nothing much that you can do. You work within certain parameters, and you can't exceed. You're cornered. That's what I want to say.
Well, some might argue and say that is an excuse, because really when you have an office you have to execute. But let me come to you, Carlos.
Yes.
And what is it that you have that is different in terms of leadership than what possibly Jackson has?
Now, clearly,
or other leaders?
Yes, a senator works in two phases. You can either legislate in the Senate, or you can either sponsor bills at the county assembly. Now, there are key issues that what we call the key issues. You see, a senator is elected because of the ability to be able to identify key issues. Number one is coffee in Machakos. Machakos, for many years, has been known as a producer of coffee. Go to Kangundo, come to Machakos, coffee was a major income in Machakos. Now that has since died. So what I will do is clearly come up with a bill, what we call agribusiness bill, that will create an agribusiness fund, and that money will be directed to coffee farmers in Machakos. They have uprooted their coffee, so we will want to give them money so that they plant more coffee, revive our cooperative societies, increase membership, and then be able to produce our coffee and market it directly in the European markets. That is happening in Nyeri through the good cooperation of the late governor and the current and the incumbent senator. So that is not rocket science. That is something that has happened. The other thing is I will also come up with a bill or legislation that will include widows and the single mothers in Machakos in the program that we call the Social Welfare Fund, where we have the aged persons cash transfer, so that we include them there, because these people have families and they take care of the future leaders of this country. Then they will be getting what we call monthly stipends, so that they are able to progress their lives. The other thing that I'll be able to do clearly is play the representation role, making sure that I'm also playing the advisory role, and create a good relationship between the senator and the governor of Machakos. What we have seen in the past 5 years is clearly leadership that is chaotic. We have seen MCAs fighting, we have seen members of parliament fighting. The incumbent has not been able to bring the leadership of Machakos together and creating a vision of leadership.
Okay, and the question then would be, that sounds very good on paper, sounds like a very good plan. What experience do you have that you can tell the people of Machakos, this is what I've done so far,
yes,
and these plans that I'm talking about, I'm actually able to implement them?
True, yeah. I have been general manager and the CEO at Security Group Africa, where I was running an employee. I was managing business that was worth over 160 million monthly, and I had a staff of around 70,000 countrywide, and businesses spread all over the country. I was able to offer leadership in terms of running the business, profitability, and creating an image and basically penetrating markets like across the country. I am one person who understands that the needs of the people, a very good listener, and I also run an organization called Beryl Foundation that battles climate change through tree planting. I basically interacted with the people of Machakos from the year 2008, listening to them, okay, and yeah, I think I am the guy.
You bring a wealth of experience.
Yes.
All right, let me come to you, Jackson. And when you look at Machakos County right now, what is it that you tell the people of Machakos? First of all, this is problem number one that I would want to solve for you. This is their biggest challenge, and this is what I'm coming to do.
I'll want first, before I answer that question, just to take you back to a question that you had asked. You had asked in terms of performance of the incumbent governor, and I had given a score 4 to 10, yes, 4 over 10. The reason was very simple. When we are rating governors' performance, we must ask them, how much funds did you receive during the period of your tenure? Then we compare that with the projects that we've initiated. Then we'll see whether one, the projects, there was value for money. 2, was there any wastage? And 3, whether there was any whether some projects were used to channel money
And generally, the impact of those projects have on the ground.
of those projects to the local mwananchi. Because you ask yourself, if you've had 40 billion for the last 4 years, are we able to see work worth 40 billion? That's a question that we should ask ourselves. Don't tell us, I bought you ambulance, I bought you police cars. No. That is not the question. Because if I give you 1,000 and I give him 1,000, and out of the 1,000 that I gave you, I get you utilize it well. You buy milk, bread, sugar, and everything, and he buys only milk and bread. Then, in terms of rating, I'll rate you higher than him. So, before we rate governors, let us look at the projects that they have initiated vis-a-vis their.
So your reason for giving them 4 is because the impact on the ground is not felt.
It's not felt.
Okay. The ambulances may not be
if you can dream. It's good to dream, but when you dream, the dreams must also be realistic. You must also be there must be within your means.
So you're saying that the dreams that possibly the current governor have been unrealistic.
Yeah, if you tell people surely you are going to make sure that you install every household with piped water within 5 years, that is not realistic. You are lying to the people. Isn't it? That is not realistic.
Okay, so compared
to the amount
of money that
they're getting. So it's good to reevaluate that dream and anchor it.
So what I want to hear from you now is your dream, or whatever you're going to call it, for Machakos County. And what is the one thing that you'd say, Machakos, if you elect me, this is one thing I'm going to take care of?
It's good to understand before I commit myself. I'll not be here and say that I want to initiate certain projects, yet senators don't have those funds. My role as a senator will be very simple: to ensure that I represent them well, fight for enough money, like the allocation that nationally is 15% for the county governments. Now we want to go to that Senate and fight and enact legislations, and even move, even if it means amending the constitution, to allow for 45% of the current budget. That's why what we are saying even in NASA, that's what we are going to do. That 45% of the current budget, of the country's budget, goes to county governments. Number 2, as a senator, you're supposed to also source for funds for your counties. How do you do that? By creating, fostering good working relationships with even multinational companies. You try to attract investors to your county, so that you create wealth, and more so when you create that wealth, you're also creating jobs. So especially for the youth. The biggest problem in Machakos County, as we speak right now, is actually unemployment of the youth.
So that's
that is one thing that we need. That I'm very passionate to ensure that we try to at least
bring down
that gap
unemployed
to manageable levels. Because ask yourself, when you have a certain population that is youthful, that is not employed, is not in any gainful employment, it's a recipe for chaos.
I'll pause you because I also want to give him a fair chance to give us what his plan is. Let me hear from you. What is the one thing that you'd say, as Senator of Machakos County, this is one thing I'm going to tackle that Machakos will remember me for?
Good. I can talk about unemployment. Yes, I will come up with what we call Employment Protection Bill. And this bill will require all industries operating in Machakos to employ 70% residents of Machakos, people who have a voter's card in Machakos. Does not matter whether tribe they come from, but they have a voter's card from Machakos, and also an ID from Machakos. Those are actually the residents of Machakos. I will make sure that companies employ 70% of those people.
How will you do that?
Well, clearly by coming up with legislation through the county assembly, sponsoring a bill, and of course it will go through, because we need to create employment for our people, and it shall be enforced.
So is the problem unemployment, or is the problem the fact that you have many people who come from other counties and are employed in Machakos? Because if the problem is unemployment, then that really doesn't solve the problem.
The other thing that I will do on unemployment is that I will push for legislation that creates an entrepreneurship fund. that we will be able to fund business endeavors by the youth, also support our mothers, our women, and basically provide source of revenue to begin businesses and to do businesses and transact business in Machakos.
All right, I'll need you to have your closing comments, maybe your closing comments as we finish, very briefly.
Yeah, I would say that the biggest problem that, as I'd said, and it's also good to also be realistic when you're talking about some of these things. There is a constitution. Remember, you can enact legislations or you sponsor bills, but those bills must also conform to the constitution.
Within the law. Yes, I need you to close. We're out of time.
So, my closing remark is this: that we need to empower the youth, and the reason is simple: and create employment for our people. And we can only create employment by ensuring that we advance avenues of creating wealth. How do you create wealth? By ensuring that you attract investors to the county, by also ensuring that we increase the level of training on vocational skills.
Okay.
Because the biggest problem is that we have a population that is not in the job market. And the only way to do that is to ensure that they have those, you equip them with some vocational skills.
Right.
Like for instance,
I need you to wind up because I need his closing comments.
Yes,
yeah, your closing comments.
Well, I want to make appeal to the people of Machakos that a time has come for change, and I represent change. I want to become the voice that they deserve in terms of legislation, in terms of offering vision, in terms of leadership, and making sure that we have participation across board. I will be the senator of all parties in Machakos. I will be the senator for the people of Machakos. I will be the senator who brings the people of Machakos together. Right. And I will encourage participation, and I will ask these people of Machakos the trust that they have given me, the hope and the vision that we have shared together, that on the 8th that they should vote for me to be their senator of Machakos. And to my competitors, Kala and others, I would work with them. I would speak to the governor. I would speak to the government of Kenya to offer them jobs so that they can. We'll have to wind it up right there, gentlemen. Yes. And I ask them to vote for me, actually.
Even your opponents, I guess. Jackson Busioka, Kala, and Carlos Kioko, thank you very much for joining us on the Dawn Debate this morning. Well, Machakos, you have a decision to make on the 8th of August. But now we'd like to take a short break and end the Dawn Debate, but Morning Express continues. And today being Thursday, we're going to be looking at the state of the nation. And of course, one question that many of us as Kenyans would like to ask is, are we ready? We only have 25 days to go before the general election, and there's still, things coming up in there. But we're going to be looking at that and focusing on that on the state of the nation. Do stay with us right here on Morning Express.